What happens when a leather-clad billionaire biker rips open the shirt of a quiet, broken single dad only to discover a Marine Corps tattoo that silences an entire bar? Tonight, you'll hear the story that proves some scars aren't just skin deep, they're battlefields of the soul. The bar was alive with noise, pool balls clashing, country music humming through broken speakers, and laughter spilling like cheap whiskey. No one noticed the sound of heavy boots striking the floor until she walked in. A biker jacket, all black, helmet tucked under her arm, and confidence that carried the kind of weight only money or survival could buy. Her name was Alexis Storm, though most only knew her by the whispers, the billionaire biker who rode alone. She didn't belong in a place like this, yet somehow, she owned the air the moment she entered. At the far end of the counter sat Ethan Cole, broad shoulders, weathered hands gripping a glass of soda instead of whiskey, and eyes that looked 10 years older than his 35. A Marine veteran, single father, and the kind of man who carried silence like armor. He didn't smile much, not anymore, not since his wife passed and left him with a little girl who thought the world of him. The clash happened faster than anyone could predict. Some drunk decided Alexis was an easy mark, mocking her leather jacket and daring her to prove she could handle a real fight. Ethan, sitting nearby, tried to ignore it, but his protective instincts stirred when the man reached out to grab her wrist. In a move so quick it blurred, Alexis twisted the guy's arm behind his back and shoved him aside like a rag doll. The bar went quiet for a moment, until her gaze locked on Ethan. "Not drinking?" she asked, sliding into the seat beside him. "Not tonight," Ethan muttered. "Or ever?" she pressed, studying him with eyes that saw too much. He shifted, uncomfortable under her stare. Something about her presence pulled at the scars he buried, but before he could respond, she reached out, fast, reckless, and grabbed the front of his shirt, ripping it open. The bar froze. Across his chest, inked deep into muscle and memory, was the unmistakable eagle globe and anchor of the U.S. Marine Corps. The scar beneath it told its own story, a wound stitched by fire and war. Gasps spread through the crowd. Men who moments ago mocked him suddenly fell silent. Even Alexis, bold and unshaken until now, drew back a breath as though she'd touched a flame. For the first time in years, Ethan's secret wasn't his own anymore. And in that silence, a story began neither of them expected. He thought his past defined him, but when the billionaire biker ripped open his scars, she wasn't exposing weakness. She was uncovering strength. And the way the bar reacted changed everything. Ethan's chest burned, not from the scar, but from the eyes fixed on him. He tugged his shirt together, but Alexis leaned forward, her voice low yet commanding. "You served," she said, not a question but a statement. Ethan met her gaze. "A lifetime ago. And yet it's still written on you." The room stayed hushed, as though everyone knew they were witnessing something bigger than a bar fight. For Alexis, the tattoo wasn't just military ink, it was a map of sacrifice, of battles fought beyond sight. She saw a man who carried pain but didn't show it. She saw resilience, but Ethan didn't feel like a hero. He felt like a man who had lost too much, his brothers in arms, his wife, and the version of himself that once believed in second chances. He didn't need pity, least of all from a billionaire whose world he couldn't imagine. "Why did you do that?" he asked finally, anger creeping in. "Because sometimes people need to be reminded of who they are," Alexis answered softly. "And you, whether you believe it or not, you're still a Marine." The words cut deeper than he expected. No one had spoken to him like that since his last deployment. The crowd slowly shifted back to their drinks, but whispers lingered. Something unspoken passed between the billionaire and the veteran. That night, Alexis didn't ride off as quickly as she came. Instead, she sat with him, listening. Ethan talked little, but for the first time, he opened a piece of his story. The battles overseas, the silence at home. The promise to his daughter that he'd never let the war inside him take away the father she needed. Alexis listened not as a billionaire, but as someone who knew loneliness. Her wealth was vast, but her nights were empty. She had fought her own wars, not with bullets, but with betrayal, boardroom vultures, and a family that only cared about her money. Somewhere between her questions and his guarded answers, a fragile thread formed. The bar's neon clock blinked past midnight, and Ethan finally stood. "I should get home to my girl." Alexis nodded. "Maybe I'll see you again." Ethan almost said no, but something in her eyes stopped him. Something that told him she wasn't done tearing through the walls he built. As he left, the bar hummed back to life. But everyone who saw what happened that night carried the same thought. Sometimes, the strongest people are the ones who believe they're broken. And sometimes, it takes a stranger, whether a billionaire or a biker, to remind them their scars are not weakness, but proof they survive. This wasn't just about a ripped shirt or a tattoo. It was about two souls colliding when they least expected it. A billionaire searching for something real, and a Marine who forgot his worth. Together, they discovered that strength is not about hiding scars, but sharing them, so others know they're not alone.